Have you heard of vibe coding? It's a new concept that could completely change how you create your course materials. Seriously, it's a revolutionary, much more accessible approach that just might be a game changer for educators. So just imagine this for a second. What if you could build these rich, interactive simulations, or maybe complex decision-making scenarios for your students, not by wrestling with lines of code, but just by talking, by describing what you want? That, right there, is the big promise of vibe coding.
All right, so here's what we're going to cover. First, we'll break down what vibe coding actually is. Then we'll look at the AI that makes it all possible. We'll jump into some real classroom examples, talk about why your expertise is more important than ever, and finally, show you how this all adds up to your new superpower.
Okay, let's dive in. What in the world is vibe coding? At its heart, it's about a massive shift, moving away from struggling with complicated code syntax to just having a simple conversation.
And you know, the definition is actually super simple. It's all about using AI prompted by your own natural language to write computer code for you. A team at Augusta University really hit the nail on the head. They call it coding by conversation. You literally just tell the AI what you're thinking and you trust it to build it.
So where did this term even come from? Well, it was coined by Andrej Karpathy, one of the founding members of OpenAI. His whole idea is that these new AI models are so good that you can just focus on the vibe, the big picture of what you want to create, and forget about all the nitty-gritty technical details. You just describe the destination, and the AI figures out how to get there.
Okay, so that sounds pretty cool in theory, right? But what does it actually mean for your day-to-day? Let's look at how this AI assistant can give your productivity a massive boost.
Now, I know what you're thinking. These numbers are for software developers. But hang on, because this translates directly to what you do. With an AI assistant, developers finish their tasks 55% faster. Just think about what you could create with that kind of time back in your schedule. But here's what's even more important. Their cognitive load, that mental strain, dropped by 41%, and burnout went down too. That means less time fighting with technology and way more time focusing on what you love, teaching.
So let's see what this actually looks like in a real classroom. This isn't some far-off futuristic idea. It's already being used in universities right now to create some truly amazing learning experiences.
Okay, check this out. At Augusta University, a physical therapy instructor had this incredible idea for a patient simulation, with all these complex branching choices and detailed feedback, so she just wrote it all down in a simple Word document. And by using vibe coding, her idea was turned into a fully functional, interactive tool in just a couple of weeks, a process that honestly would have taken months to build the old way. And it's not just for STEM fields. Think about an American government course. Instead of students just reading about policy, they're suddenly dropped into these interactive scenarios where they have to be the decision makers. They're forced to apply those abstract theories to solve real, practical problems, which bridges that huge gap between knowing something and actually being able to use it. Oh, and this one is fantastic. A communications course decided to gamify its module on misinformation. The instructor came up with a narrative and some basic artwork, fed it to an AI, and it helped generate an entire interactive game set in this cool dystopian world. It's a true partnership, where the educator's creative vision is just supercharged by the AI's power to build.
So, with AI doing all of this heavy lifting, you might be starting to wonder, well, where do I fit in? And this is the most important part of this whole conversation. Your expertise as an educator, as a subject matter expert, is now more critical than ever.
Think of it like this. The AI is an amazing tool. It's brilliant at whipping up prototypes and spitting out code. But you provide the essential human oversight. You're the one who makes sure the material is accessible for all students. You're the one checking that the color contrast is actually readable. And most importantly, you're the only one who can ensure that every single piece of this aligns perfectly with your learning outcomes. The AI is the builder, you're the architect. And let's be real, it's not perfect. There are definitely pitfalls you need to watch for. The AI can sometimes change your content in ways you didn't intend. It's also notoriously bad with things like color contrast. And because it has a limited memory, what's called a context window, it can sometimes forget things you told it earlier in the conversation. That's why your oversight, your testing, it's completely non-negotiable.
And all of this leads us to your new superpower. Your role is shifting. You're moving from being a manual builder to a high-level director, a verifier. This isn't just another task on your to-do list. It's a much more strategic, more powerful way to create your courses.
So what does this actually look like in practice? The new workflow is a pretty clear 5-step process. It all starts with your brilliant idea. Then you prompt the AI to build you a first draft. After that come the most important steps. You have to verify the output, test it like crazy for accessibility and function, and then, finally, you deploy it and improve it based on how your students interact with it.
You know, the best way to think about this is it's like the calculator. When the calculator showed up, it didn't make us worse at math, did it? Of course not. It freed us from all the tedious, boring calculations so we could tackle much bigger, more interesting problems. Vibe coding does the exact same thing for creating course content. It handles the code so you can focus on what really matters: pedagogy and brilliant design.
So, the technology is here. The AI is ready to write the code. The only thing holding us back now is our own imagination. So the real question is, what amazing learning experience are you going to ask it to build?